Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and we are here and underway, and hope you're doing great out there. Whatever it is you're doing, I hope you're having a great day. I hope you were given great weather today. It was pretty balmy here and sunny, and I didn't go outside at all. It was just, I had a sleepless night last night, so I've been kind of dragging my butt all day. But anyway, outside of that, I hope you guys are doing great. Thank you so much for joining me here on the Paranormal Portal and helping to keep me company as I do what it is that I do. Warm there. Aussie says it's warm there. Cool. Yeah, we're kind of at that point, Aussie, where we're trading weather now. You guys are going to get the cold, and we're going to get the nice. So sorry about that for what it's worth, but it's our turn. You've had it long enough. Give it up. All right. So welcome, everybody. And tonight we are doing the Night Terrors, but it's a UFO Encounters night, which means we're going to be talking about UFO stuff. And there's a lot on the table to get through tonight. Excuse me. I'm a little raspy because I haven't been talking much today either. So, but there's a lot to go through, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. Just a lot of different angles of the UFO phenomena, and we'll cover it all in time. And then at the end of the show, we're going to get into a trail cam terror. Now, I just got to say this. It's getting harder and harder to find trail cam terror shots that are, interesting and good, because there's a lot of really bad ones out there. There's tons and tons of horrible stage shots out there. And I'm not going to bother putting all those on. I just put the ones on that might be something to it. Might not be. Most likely they're not, but maybe they are. Maybe, just maybe, some of them are really good captures. And, so I put those up on the show, but it's getting harder and harder. So if any of you know of any good trail cam shots to possibly include on the show, definitely email them to me, or email me a link at paranormalportalradio@gmail.com, because I keep combing and I keep finding the same ones a lot over and over and over and over. And we've covered quite a few now, but there's not gajillions of these things out there, but there's some. So if you come across any that you like, definitely let me know. I'll definitely include those on the shows as they come up. Otherwise, I got to think of a new segment because I'm running out of material for the trail cam terrors. So anyway, with that in mind, just throwing it out there, you too can be a part of the show. When you run out of trail cam terrors, you can do short TikTok paranormal videos. No, I can't. I'm not going to be rebroadcasting other people's videos, but I appreciate that. As with anything, you have to have permission. Using an image is one thing, and to a varying degree, you can use fair use of videos as well. I don't want to do reaction vids to especially to TikToks. It's not a bad idea. I got to tell you, it's actually a good idea, but I still think that most of what is presented as paranormal evidence on videos, 90% of it, I think, is bogus, especially on the videos sites like YouTube, where, the top 5, top 10s. Some of them are really compelling and pretty interesting, but for the most part, I think a lot of them are real hoaxy and scammy. But, that's just me. And it's not that we couldn't do something in that nature. I guess I'll have to explore that idea, because it would take a lot of permissions on my part, hunting down permissions from people to use their clips, to a degree, because there is fair use, but there's also, copyrights and common courtesy. So I would definitely want to get permissions before I started broadcasting and lampooning people's proof. That's something they may not be as eager to share. And so just, I appreciate the thought, though. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So anyway, let's continue here. Let's see what else. The phone lines should be open. If I connect them, they open a lot faster. So let me do that quick while I'm still remembering. I forgot that part. There's that beautiful sound stylings of Skype. And we'll take phone calls if you got one. Love to hear from you. We are connected now on the phone line. So that is done. And let's see. Anything else? I guess that's it on the front end. So I hope you all are ready, because it's time for bed. All right. No, can't turn on the moon. Rachel, I only do the moon on the 2-hour shows. And even then, it only works part of the time because that thing eats up batteries like you wouldn't believe. And it chows them down. So I use it sparingly. But, I'll do it on tomorrow's show. Don should be here tomorrow, by the way. So he'll be here on Friday night instead of Saturday night this week. So we'll get back into it with him tomorrow night. So let's get going here. I should put myself back on screen, right? Hey, see, it's where I'd never done this before. All right, so let's go. Let's get going. So first off, we got some articles to get through that are dealing with the UFO phenomena. Several that I pulled up. Man, my eyes are just not working today. I swear to God, it's time to get some readers or something. I don't know. Here's an article that I thought was kind of interesting, and this kind of sets the stage to what's going on. Now, a lot of people say, and I think there's merit to it, and I'm a little bit torn because I'm not sure where this increase is coming from. But there does seem to be an uptick on sightings and sighting reports. Now, does that mean there's more sightings than ever before? Maybe. But it might just mean that more people are talking about it than ever before. Because maybe now, more than ever, it's okay to talk about it more than ever before. So I think that could be part of it. So, but this article is from Forbes, of all places, which I was like, what? Really? But the article is 2021 is shaping up to be the year of the UFO. You can see it's totally optimized for mobile too. Terribly so. This is written by Danny D. Placido, senior contributor. I read about film, television, pop culture, and other fun stuff. Well, thank you, Danny, for writing about UFOs. In December 2020, President Trump signed a coronavirus relief bill that included an interesting stipulation. The bill set into motion an 180-day time frame in which U.S. intelligence agencies must tell Congress everything they know about UFO sightings via an unclassified report. Remarkably, in what sounds like an opening crawl of an unimaginative sci-fi film, the report must also include an analysis as to whether or not UFOs pose a threat to national security. Perhaps one day our puny, primitive weapons will be used to bring democracy to a spacefaring civilization. As the deadline inches closer, public interest in UFOs has started to spike. Recently encouraged by a Fox News interview with Trump's former intelligence director, John Ratcliffe, who stated, "Frankly, there are a lot more sightings than have been made public. Some of those have been declassified, and when we talk about sightings, we're talking about objects that have been seen by Navy or Air Force pilots or have been picked up by satellite imagery. That, frankly, engage in actions that are difficult to explain, movements that are hard to replicate, and that we don't have the technology for, or traveling at speeds that exceeds the sound barrier without a sonic boom." Public interest in UFO and alien abduction spiked during April 2020 as the Pentagon confirmed the authenticity of 3 videos showing unidentified aerial phenomena shot by the Air Force pilots who were, judging from the recordings, extremely excited by the sighting of a mysterious presence in the sky. There's some links. Alien invasion and abduction has also become a popular meme as social media users have jokingly proposed that an alien invasion would be the only way to stop the ever-escalating insanity and surreal news headlines of the last few years. Amen. I almost subscribe to that idea myself. It's like, man, we are so screwed. The Facebook event Storm Area 51, They Can't Stop All of Us, which proved amusing but anticlimactic, as well as a series of randomly placed art installations known as the Mysterious Monoliths, have also helped to propel alien abduction mythos into public imagination. To add to that, in January 2021, thousands of CIA documents on unidentified flying objects were released in a massive document dump that the agency claims includes all of their records on UFOs. And, of course, the launching of the Space Force, an idea so silly that Netflix created a mediocre comedy series based on the concept, only fueled more speculation. Hence, in early June, the public will be offered an official explanation regarding UFOs. Or perhaps a report will merely amount to a resounding shrug, depending on the mystery. Deepening the mystery, rather. But the answer might be a little closer to home than we thought. On Fox News, when asked if there was unidentified phenomena were sighted, Ratcliffe replied, "All over the world. There have been sightings all over the world. Multiple sensors that are picking up these things, and they're unexplained phenomena. And there's actually quite a few more than have been made public." Ratcliffe is correct, but looking at Esri's animated map, which visualizes the data from a century of reported UFO sightings, it's clear that the vast majority of alleged encounters with extraterrestrials have occurred in the United States. Perhaps omniscient, well, it's probably because we're the repositories of those databases. People here know about them and are more connected in other parts of the world. Perhaps omniscient otherworldly aliens share a deep fascination with the excesses of American culture. Similar to the way in which hardcore anime films fetishize Japan, or maybe, just maybe, our encounters with the paranormal are shaped by our cultural values. Who's to say? At least we'll be a little more informed once that report makes its way to Congress. Well, that's possible. I think some kind of report will make its way to Congress, but I think as soon as they said "and," give us an overview of it, it's going to be like a lot of we don't know, the end. So it's going to be a lot of things put out there in the public sphere, but I don't think it's going to be anything definitive. Again, there's the two-word caveat that trumps all of that stuff, and that is national security. All they have to do is invoke national security, and it overrides any kind of bill or motion to release information. They just have to cite national security. Boom, it's all locked down again. So I don't think there's going to be anything too earth-shattering coming forward. Maybe, but I don't know. I'm not going to hold my breath because, and quite frankly, being someone that's experienced this myself, I already know that there's something here, that something's going on that doesn't make sense. But I don't need the government, and I think this is true maybe for a lot of other people, is that they don't need some official body to come forward and say, yes, this is happening. In some ways, the vindication, I think, would be good because it would be validating that experience on a more official level, that, hey, there's weird stuff going on everywhere. It's not just you. But at the end of the day, it doesn't enhance or change my own experience. I got the experiences I have. I don't know what it means. I saw something I can't explain, and it's forever has left an impact in my life. Again, it was pretty much, I saw something and that was it, but I did see it, and that to me was enough. So I don't know. Maybe people don't really need this like they maybe once did, because more and more people are talking about it anyway. But anyway, that's the first article on our journey tonight. So I think it's pretty cool, pretty interesting, all the same. Now, next up this is kind of an excerpt from somebody's book, Incident at Devil's Den. Incident at Devil's Den. It's a true story by Terry Lovelace, Esquire. And I'd never heard of this book before searching out this information for tonight's show, but it does sound pretty interesting. And this is a book written by Terry Lovelace. It's compelling proof of alien visitation, and this is coming from NWAonline.com News 2020. So it's hard to dismiss Terry Lovelace as a crazy man. He was an EMT and medic in the Air Force, earned a law degree from the University of Michigan, worked as both a defense attorney and in the offices of the Attorney General. And he's been married to the same woman for 46 years and raised a reportedly happy and functional family. Lovelace says he never intended to tell the story to the rest of his story or to write a book about it until he took up jogging in 2012. Although he'd always suffered from nightmares and hated being in the wide open, exposed places, it was then he noticed something about his body he couldn't explain. Every time he'd hit the 2-mile mark, a place just above his knee would go numb. Finally, medical tests revealed an unexplained piece of metal the size of a fingernail implanted into his leg. Go online. The Incident at Devil's Den by Terry Lovelace is available at Amazon.com. For more information, it's on the Ozark Mountain UFO Conference, blah, blah, blah. It says it wasn't shrapnel. He'd never been in active combat. He'd been through surgery. There was no entrance scar, and he had no memory of it ever being injured, or did he? Lovelace is the author of The Incident at Devil's Den, a true story, and one of the speakers at the roster on the 33rd Annual Ozark Mountain UFO Conference in Eureka Springs, which has been scheduled for the July 24th and 26th. What happened at Devil's Den in 1977 was the worst event in a lifetime of interactions with what he believes are entities not from this earth. I want to be clear from the start, he says in the introduction to his book, published in 2018. I'm not on a mission to change your mind about the topic of UFOs or the existence of alien life. I plan to take my story to my grave. But having started to tell it 2 years ago this month, when his book came out, Lovelace says the experience of speaking at UFO conferences has largely been positive. After 40 years of speaking to juries, I have zero anxiety about speaking in front of people, he says. I just tell my story as honestly as I can without embellishment. People appreciate it, and something about the story seems to resonate with them. He's also received some 1,300 emails from people who claim that they too have had the experience with ETs. There's a core group of about 700 that really ring true, he said, by phone and from his home in Dallas. There's a certain commonality that runs through them. They start by saying, "You're not going to believe this." And then they tell me unbelievable stories that I absolutely believe. Lovelace's own story starts when he was a child, about 8 years old, and started seeing little monkey-like people in his bedroom at night. It continued with sightings of UFOs, sometimes when he was alone, sometimes with his Air Force buddy, Toby, and sometimes with his wife. But it was the Devil's Den incident that haunts him the most to this day. Stationed at an Air Force base in Missouri, Lovelace and his EMT colleague Toby decided a decision that was very random and out of character, he says, to just take a camping trip into Arkansas. Well, Toby chose Devil's Den, but they didn't want to stay in the campgrounds at the state park, and instead they found a summit outside the park where they intended to pitch a tent, watch the night sky, and take photos of the majestic overlooks and the animals. 24 hours later, their lives were changed forever. Lovelace believes that over that time period, they both were taken aboard a spacecraft, and whatever they did to me, Toby got a double dose of it. They never spoke about what happened, not on the drive back to Missouri and not later, except during one brief encounter when Lovelace assured Toby that he wasn't crazy and it really did happen, as he remembered it. Diagnosed with PTSD twice in recent years, Lovelace says, writing the book was a very therapeutic for me, and I'm very glad that I did it. Speaking in public was really helpful. And to those who say he's simply seeking attention, Lovelace has this response. To be honest, I don't need to sell books. That's not the object of this exercise. If you think I'm a liar, there's nothing I can do to change that. Have a nice day. Yeah, that sounds really interesting. I wasn't familiar with this book or his story, but I got to tell you, I am now. So the book, again, is Incident at Devil's Den. I wonder if I can get a hold of him and see if he'll come on the show to talk about a little bit about his experiences, because very incredible. The implants are a huge thing. And I don't know how many of you are really privy to the discussion, but essentially they're finding, in certain people, they're finding lumps under their skin, and they can't explain it. There's no scarring to show that something went into their body, but there's definitely some kind of hard object underneath the surface of the skin, usually under the subcutaneous layer of the skin. Your skin is 3 layers: epidermis, dermis, and subcutaneous layers. And that's the deepmost layer. And they find these things, and they're oftentimes there's a doctor that did a whole bunch of removals on these things and had the materials tested. And oftentimes they test not even from this earth. Now, some of the explanations that have come forth for these items being inside people are just as bizarre. because nobody wants to admit that they could be artificially implanted by another intelligence. So explanations like it's a micrometeorite that somehow crashed into their arm or leg or shoulder or whatever and became embedded in there and somehow managed not to create an entry wound at all. And it's that bizarre possibility. How the hell is that possible? But those are some of the ideas floating around there for some of these implants. And it's just really strange. But the fact that they come up, and the other thing that's weird is that there's no rejection from the body itself to this foreign object. There's no scarring. There's no tissues that surround it to kind of protect the rest of the body from it. It's just accepted as if it's part of the natural order, which is really incredible. And that's, excuse me, that's something that our own doctors have only championed in more recent years, I think, to a great degree. But that's the big struggle, is to create materials that aren't rejected. But it's very, very strange. So that's another angle on it. They are implanting people. Why did they do that? What are the implants for? Why would they tag him? Well, and this is the weird part with abduction. It's as if abduction takes place over quite a period of time, and it can be generational and multi-generational within a bloodline. So I think that part of it is just they tag these people so they can find them. Much like biologists tag, big cats or whatever and follow their migration routes and stuff. It seems to be pretty similar kind of practice for these implants that are given to people that have experienced abduction. And it's really creepy. It's really, really creepy because, I gotta say, it does kind of lend credibility to the idea that maybe they don't respect us a whole bunch, because if they're tagging us like a wild animal, then obviously they're not really too concerned with our sovereignty. Sovereignty. Yeah, that's a mouthful. But interestingly enough, anyway, let me see, where are we? Okay, so here's another one that we caught. This one's from animalien.com, and it's not real long. It's actually really, really short. I think I can show part of this because we're going to be discussing the article that it's embedded in. And, I'm not lampooning it. I'm just showing you evidence that's being presented as evidence. So, and the evidence itself comes from UFO sightings hotspot.blogspot.com. The article itself is coming from animalien.com. And this is weird UFO caught on camera at remote farmstead in North Dakota. Excuse me, hold on. It says weird UFO caught by motion detector on PTZ camera mounted on top of a structure out in remote unoccupied farmstead in Williston, North Dakota on April 5th, 2021. Reports UFO sightings hotspot.blogspot.com. The UFO moved from north to south, unclear how far away. Next motion event was daylight, and you can see the grain bins in the background. It says there were 2 dead cows found in a tree row less than a mile away. No obvious causes of death, covered in mud. No farms with cows around it for 10 miles. No reported missing cows from nearby farms. Never seen anything like this out there on the cameras. Huh. Well, let's play it. Again, I'll just keep the volume down, but we're just obviously focusing on the craft that's moving. Behind the scenes, blah, blah, blah. 2021. Oh, wow. Just April 5th. What did that say? UFO. Oh, man, hold on. UFO caught on PTZ camera. Okay, so it's basically saying the same thing we just read. Okay, got it. All right, so there it is. Huh. Unclear how far away. Wow. Very diamond shaped, huh? Like a pendulum almost. Jeez. And it's nearly impossible to get an idea how big that is or how small it is, but that's really strange. That's not your average Christmas ornament right there. That's brand new, though. God, that's from April 5th. Wow. That's really the hot sheets. Okay. Oh, here comes the daytime shot. So we can kind of see what we're looking at. Okay, so it's either behind, back in here, or it's in the foreground between those silos and the camera point. I would suggest it's probably closer. There were 2 dead cows, covered in mud, no farms with cows around for 10 miles, no reported missing cows from nearby farms, never seen anything like this out there on the cameras. Wow. I would suggest that it's probably closer because this is the top of one of those silos and it's very blurry. So to get that kind of depth of field, you've got to have something in frame before that with an aperture, pretty wide aperture. Aperture is the opening to the sensor. And this is in pretty good focus. But this back here, which is one of the top of one of those silos, is not. So, I don't know. Very strange. I don't know what to think of that, folks, but that could very well be some kind of evidence. Some kind of proof of extraterrestrial traffic there. That's weird. The 2 cows just showed up. Nobody's missing any cows, but there's 2 cows showed up. Yikes. That's not good. But they didn't sound like they were mutilated. It sounded like they were covered in mud. I don't know. Maybe they're stashing them for later. I don't know. I don't know. Believe me. I think about this stuff all the time. It's like, what in the hell's going on? I don't know. I give up. Huh. Well, there you have that. Now I got to dig for... I had a couple more things that I was going to go over here. I've got tab hell cooking here on the show. I can close this. That one is not it. Let me see. Where is it? I'll be right with you again. I lost a couple tabs here all of a sudden. Doesn't surprise me, though. Happens here a lot when I got a tab tornado cooking. You know, we've done some interviews. Not a whole lot, but we have interviewed people that I think have been abducted, and one of which was really a compelling story. And the person actually reached out as it was a dream, a very, very, very vivid dream. Very lucid, very real. And as she discussed it and as she explained it, it just became more and more clear to me. It's like, wait a minute, are you sure this is a dream? Just the memories that she had of being taken, of going into a space that was very unfamiliar, very sterile, and like the interior of a ship kind of thing, but really unremarkably decorated with a big circular room with tables on it. And it was really curious because she also mentioned in this, quote unquote dream, that she was sitting on her table and she looked across the room, and sitting on another table was what she's described as a Sasquatch. And she said it was looking into its eyes. It had this knowledge, this depth, this wisdom, and it was just looking at her, and she was looking at it. And it occurred to me, it's like, my God, they're just doing a site survey. They were just coming through, picking up people and things to investigate. And it was that one experience that kind of answered the question for me, at least in some part, because we often hear the question, do you think Sasquatch comes from UFOs? Now, personally, I don't know. I tend to believe probably not. It's just my intuition, speculation, whatever. I just doesn't feel right that they're somehow just beaming down and running amok like predators and then beaming back up or whatever. I don't know. It seems to me that they are a natural part of our world, but they are interested when things are different, and they do check out things that are different. And if they're out there moving, then it stands to reason they would be abducted as well. And so if something really is truly researching our planet and the natural fauna of our world, then it stands to reason they would pick up these guys too and check them out. And maybe that's why. That's why they are seen coming out of ships and stuff. It's okay. We're done with you. You can go now. I don't think these things are very scary to these advanced intelligences. I think they can control things on an intellectual level or telepathy level, so they don't have to worry about the brute strength and the ability of these things like we do. But I don't know. It's obviously open to interpretation quite a bit. Is this the one? I got to go back to my search results. I don't know if I accidentally closed them or not. This was from, what was this from? Yeah, this one. This one is one we can sure look into. This one is an article we can go over quick. I'm sorry, folks. I didn't realize I inadvertently closed a couple of my tabs that had a couple of articles I wanted to hit with you, but this, some of these are so redundant though, and that's getting to be another thing. It's like we can only talk about the Tic Tac craft so many times. The Tic Tac craft, and yeah, they're incredible experiences, and it's no doubt one of the most momentous releases in our lifetimes for extraterrestrial evidence. But I mean, it's out there now. It's, and every site, every article keeps wanting to regurgitate that. And it's like, it's not really that interesting anymore. It's fantastic and it's out there, but okay, let's move along. We don't need to mention that every time. And we don't need to mention to the Stars Academy every time that UFOs come up either, because I think that's a bunch of bunk as well. So I don't think that they handled that right at all. Oh, here's an interesting one. This is just pretty much with Wisconsin, though. This might be interesting. See what's going on in Wisconsin. All right, let's check out this one. First and foremost, this is an article coming from MilwaukeeMag.com. And it's talking about Milwaukee area, I suppose, or Wisconsin area. But let's see what it says. Oops, there we go. It says, stories of strange and unusual UFO sightings in Wisconsin. Tucked away in the tangles of the 5,000-plus page government stimulus bill rests a mandate to release the intelligence on UFO activity in the U.S. Wisconsin has a long history of UFO sightings. And small fonts, apparently. And small fonts. There we go. In July, the Department of Defense is due to disclose what it knows about unidentified flying objects. And though this prospect is exciting, UFO enthusiasts, many are expecting the incidents to point to unknown technology of foreign adversaries as much as fantastical beings from other worlds. This is close. God. Let me just... I don't like that. I don't like the ads. I want to try to open this in the Brave browser if I can, because I'm okay with the occasional ad, but some of these sites are just obnoxious. Boom, boom, boom. Much better. Let's blow this up. There we go. Nevertheless, we figured now is a good time to go over some sightings here in our home state. From peculiar lights zigzagging across the sky to farmers claiming to have eaten alien pancakes. Oh, I think I remember that story. Wisconsin native Chad Lewis is a paranormal researcher with a degree in psychology and is author of several books, including The Wisconsin Road Guide to Mysterious Creatures. He once interviewed a couple from rural Bloomer who believed they had encountered aliens. Late one night, the husband and wife were asleep, and when the wife got up to use the bathroom, while walking down the hall, she noticed a strange light through the window. Looking closer, she saw the light was hovering in the forest behind her house. Well, the light crept closer. And she saw the light was hovering. The light crept closer. Sorry, I reread that. As it neared the window, she saw the light came from a craft about the size of a small house. Overcome with confusion, she ran to lock the door. But before she got there, the lights began to flash. According to Lewis, she felt like she was too late because they were already there. Her door swung open on its own, and the fog rolled out through the entryway. Through the fog, she saw a hand reach out to grab her. And then everything went dark. The next thing she knew, she was in her bathroom watching the strange light moving away back into the woods. The next day, the couple found a burn mark in the backyard. After undergoing hypnosis, she recalled she was taken by aliens. Her story has not been confirmed. Most experiences like this one are reported all over Wisconsin. The incidents can be found in the National UFO Reporting Center website, which collects unverified reports. There are several such sightings last year, none of which, we remind you, have been investigated or verified. On August 17th in rural Superior, a woman and her husband saw a light move across the sky in a zigzag pattern and then disappear into nothing. They saw this several times over the course of a half something, but did not get a video or photograph of the events. A few days earlier, on August 4th in Madison, a person noticed a large triangular object above the Capitol building at about 3:30 a.m. Many smaller objects were ejected from the triangle and moved quickly towards the horizon. The main object moved upwards, leaving the atmosphere just before the break of dawn. The next night, at the same time, the object appeared at a higher altitude and remained there until sunrise, when it disappeared once more. There are no other reports of an object appearing above the Madison Capitol. In Racine, on October 7th, someone reported several silver disc-shaped objects hovering over Lake Michigan. Well, they formed a V shape as they moved. The lead object glowed red and the others were yellow. And when they left, they did not move out of sight, but vanished. There were no other reports confirming this sighting. Back in the 60s, the reported sightings were often more detailed and fantastical. Lewis cites several astounding reports. Joe Simonton, a chicken farmer in Eagle River, claimed he traded water for alien pancakes in 1961. According to his story, 3 aliens landed in a flying saucer on his property. A door that he said looked like a hood of a car opened up on the side of the craft. The aliens exited the craft and, without verbal communication, gave Simonton a jug. Excuse me. He filled up their jug and they handed him a stack of discs that they were grilling inside their craft. Simonton said they were the worst tasting pancakes he had ever eaten. The Air Force investigated the event and concluded that Simonton believed his story was true, but they could not prove the events had actually occurred. They sent the pancakes to the Food and Drug Laboratory to be analyzed. The pancakes were found to have been made of starch, buckwheat, soybeans, wheat bran, hydrogenated fat, all of which are accessible on Earth. The case was declared unexplained by the Air Force. In the winter of 1974, in Frederick, a fog covered the ground as William Bosock drove home from a meeting. While driving, he noticed something on the side of the road. Slowing down, he saw an 8 to 10 foot tall humanoid standing inside a transparent bullet-shaped container. The creature was hairy, with ears that stuck notably out of its head. Bosack sped away, overcome with fear. When questioned later, he expressed remorse at leaving the mystery behind and wished that he had stopped to show he was friendly. His story had not been confirmed. Elmwood has become known as the UFO capital of Wisconsin, in part stemming from a 1976 UFO sighting by police officer George Wheeler. Wheeler was on duty when he spotted an orange glow near the quarry at Turtle Hill. He assumed it was a fire and drove over to check it out, but when he arrived, he saw a ship overhead, and he described as silver and larger than a 2-story house, with an orange beam emitting from the top. "My God, it's one of those UFOs again," he said over the radio. There was a large whoosh sound, and a ray shot out of the UFO and struck his cruiser. The car's spark plugs were blown out, and the lights stopped working. The story's veracity has never been confirmed, but the interest in that sighting and others continued in Elmwood as the village has celebrated a UFO Days festival every July since 1978. No comments on that story, but I get a kick out of the pancakes. Those pancakes must have been horrible. Sounds like some kind of hippie gypsy kind of food. like some kind of vegan delight, except they had rendered fat, so probably not, but but they're out there, folks. And I know that there's probably several of you out there just listening right now that have had experiences of your own. And honestly, if you ever want to share them, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear what you've seen, what you've experienced, because this stuff is real. I have no doubt about it in my mind. Having been experienced, again, everybody knows that I've seen a flying saucer, but I don't know if it's as clear, but ever since seeing the one, I've seen other things as well. I've seen odd lights in the sky. I use the night vision binoculars from time to time and go out with a rigged up GoPro in one of the eyepieces and I record. And, I've caught some anomalous lights up here back in Minnesota. It seems like once you've seen them, that you become so much more prone to see more. And I don't know what that is. If that's something unlocked in me personally, that I can recognize it, or if it's just my willingness to accept it or something. I don't know. But it is pretty curious. It's out there. It's all real stuff, though. I have no doubt that they're here. I don't know what they're doing here. Again, we've speculated to the nth degree about why they could be here. What are they doing? Are they just watching? Are they supervising? Are we some kind of pet project? Or is there something else going on? And we just don't know. We have no idea. But they appear to be here, and they appear to be keeping tabs on whatever's going on. Now, again, I do think that they should probably get involved. Start helping us straighten out this mess, because it's ugly. This whatever's going on here, it's just getting uglier and uglier. And there's a lot of very angry people, and there's a lot of manipulation going on right now in our official structures. And it's really a scary time. And I think that everybody right now is feeling pretty on edge. And with the prospect of wars looming around every corner and agitated emotions climbing and progressing, and people feel like we're in a I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. We're in a gauntlet of sorts. And if you ever heard that term, and I'm not talking about a gauntlet that slides over your arm, but I'm talking about being attacked from all sides is what it feels like right now. And I think people are nervous. People are worried. People are scared. And if there is these progressive or progressed intelligence that are keeping an eye on us, and they're here to help, then they should probably get to helping. I think they should probably get to helping pretty soon, because we're not doing so great. But anyway, folks, I don't know, just my 2 cents on that. I believe they're here. I believe they're out here. They're doing what they're doing, and for whatever reasons. But let's, Ethan. Just looking at the chat here to see if I've missed anything. And it doesn't look like I have. I apologize that I closed those tabs. That's frustrating, because I dig up probably about 15 tabs before every show, even the night terror shows. And I oftentimes don't get to everything that I've opened, but I had a window with about 3 or 4 tabs open in it that I was going to pan through, and looks like I closed that. So I do apologize. But this is probably just as good a time as any in order to look at tonight's version of the Trail Cam Terrors. So buckle up, folks. Let's head over into the ethers to check out the Trail Cam Terrors. All right, folks, this is the Trail Cam Terrors, where we showcase some kind of paranormal pictures that have been captured on what is supposed to be trail cams that are left out in the wilds of our communities. And tonight's picture is kind of odd. I don't know. There's at least one backstory that I was able to find on it. Nothing definitive, but it's kind of, I don't know. It's removed a few times from the source, because there's absolutely no dates or no information attributed to it, to the tragedy that may have spawned this. But tonight's image is this one. And this is apparently, according to one source, this could very well be the ghost of a 17-year-old bride who was murdered on the night of her wedding in the region that this was captured. What region is that? I don't know. It doesn't look like it couldn't be, but then again, it is really foggy just around the image. Very, very peculiar that the fog is just in a circular fashion around the image itself. So that is a little unusual, but could this be an actual apparition captured on a trail cam out in the woods? Maybe. Could it be a staged image? Maybe. It could be a lot of things. I don't have any whens or wheres for this one, but again, this is one of the ones that I dug up for tonight. It's tragic to think that. Now, 17 years old, of course, seems really young, but if you go back a century and a half, people were getting married at like 13, 14 years old. So it's a different world. It was a different world, and people didn't live as long as they do now. So the people got kind of grew up kind of early back in those days. Yeah, it's glowing, Wanda says. Yeah, it does look like it's glowing. You're right. That hair is bright white. Yeah, Lou, it is. It's hard to know what we're looking at. Is that a veil? Is that hair? I don't know. And that's the weird part. It's hard to know exactly what we're seeing. I mean, you can tell it's a humanoid shape, but that's about all. Now, what I will say is that the waistline looks like it's up right at the end of where that little arm is, which means the torso is very short, but the legs would be extraordinarily long. So it doesn't look like it has a proper scale to be a person, at least on first blush. Now, we don't know much about it. We don't know if there's other images, but apparently it was just one image that was captured. And most of these trail cams are set to take multiple images. Again, I don't have a horse in the race, so it could be true. It just could have been omitted. The other pictures might have been omitted because it was so easy to see that it wasn't legit. But if it's legit that only one image was captured and this is it, then that's really creepy and spooky. And there's obviously an apparition that's very much not at rest out in the wild places. And it doesn't surprise me. There's a creepy world out there for sure. So just some thoughts. I don't know what you guys think, but I think these are pretty interesting all the same. Again, I'm going to throw it back out there. If you find some trail cam images that you think are really compelling and might be great to include on these, send them over to me, or at least tell me where you're finding them so that I can go farm some more. I'm looking, but they're getting harder and harder to find. There's a ton of them out there that are just obviously just hokey and goofy, and I'm not going to waste your time or mine on those. So if we can't find more, then we're going to look at a new angle, but a new segment for the show. But if I can find more and you guys can help, I'd really appreciate it. So keep your eyes open as you're out there peeling away the layers of the internets, because if you find them, I'll definitely showcase them. But I'll keep looking as well. So between us, we should keep it rolling for a while anyway. But that is going to be tonight's version of the Trail Cam Terrors. All right, folks, that's it. That's everything I got planned for you for tonight. I hope you enjoyed the segments. I hope you enjoyed the journey. I hope you enjoyed the path through the paranormal portal. A little quieter tonight, but that's okay. Thank you to all 51 of you who've been in here with us, or are here now at least. And we hope you'll get subscribed and become part of the Paranormal Portal family, and keep coming back. We are doing live shows right here on YouTube, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, every night of the week except Monday and Tuesday, so Wednesday through Sunday. So if you want to come catch a live show, 7 p.m. right here on the YouTube channel. So I'll be doing it. Don will be with me tomorrow. We'll get into tomorrow night's show and see what we can dig up for tomorrow's show, and have a great time and have a wonderful Friday, everybody. I hope you have a great Friday, and you glide through what's left of the work week with style and grace. That's all I got for you. So love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other, help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. And I will see you tomorrow night. So good night, everybody. And cue the credits.